Okay.
God, give us grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace. May you guide us as we serve our community. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call?
Beck?
Yes.
Blevins?
Yes.
Sperling?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Whittaker?
Yes. Previous minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read those over and have any questions, corrections, clarifications?
Make a motion to accept the previous minutes as written. Second.
Roll call?
Blevins?
Yes.
Sperling?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Whittaker?
Yes.
Beck?
Yes. Finance report. I got small.
You did.
I have no idea how those chairs work.
Just, if I could ask you just in a nutshell, tell us about this.
All right, I included with it the extra spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I tried to break down the revenue versus the expenses monthly, so you could get a better idea, kinda, I mean, I know you get the reports each month, but, as you see, most of the months, we stayed within what we were bringing in. Actually, we're to the good on quite a few of them, but, in February, we, did some extra, we had workers' comp, we had a drainage issue, along the building, yeah,
Or you talking about this one here?
it was the one we made.
Oh, yeah, that was Horton.
Horton, yeah, Horton Street, and, we had some issues with our water plant, so we were a little high there. And then in March, we had the police car, which put us a little bit over what we brought in. And, then if you go down to June, that's when we have our OWDA loan, which is $112,000. And we had some pump repair, and we also purchased a new pump from Buckeye Pump. So we had some pretty bad hits there. Continue on down, you'll see we're under, except for the months I noted, was the months we were over what we brought in for the month. And when you go down to the end of November, we are actually at 10,000 deficit, 10,814 to what we brought in. At the end of, we spent 10,000 more than what we brought in
Correct.
as of the end of December, the end of November.
But I guess we must have made some of it up, because some of these were a lot more than 10,000.
Yes, yeah, there's, as you see, there's some months where, you know, we brought in, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some months where, the first column's your revenue, there's some months that we've brought in a lot, like October. We brought in 93 and spent 62.
31,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
What's your forecast for December? How do you think we'll end the year?
I have to make the January loan payment again, so that's gonna put us, down. Other than that, like if you took that loan out of the picture,
Yeah.
you'd definitely be ahead.
Okay. And that will go away in a.
July of 2017 is our last payment.
So the end's in sight.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you're gonna be what?
Then you'll gain
220.
220,000.
Yeah.
224 actually,
Yeah.
224,000 a year
A year.
when that loan's paid off.
That's the one that was taken out for the.
Yeah, you were on there then.
I remember signing for that.
Is that's our big thing, and the other thing coming up is, I've already been contacted by the auditor wanting to come in January. I told him I will let them know when I get my year end done.
Okay.
But I guess I'm like on their list, at the beginning of their list. So, I did not put that in the budget because I had no idea, it had reduced audit when Beth was here.
Right.
Being new, it's gonna be a full-blown,
Sure.
plus I converted, so it's gonna be a little,
How much is?
I'd probably say maybe in the 10,000, 8 to 10,000 range.
I've
Would
seen
be-
it 12.
Would be my ballpark guess. That would be my guess,
Again, that's a pump
yeah.
that
Yeah.
you don't have to buy.
Right, right.
For the good.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
I move we accept the financial report as of 12/5/14 as presented.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Sperling,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Riddick,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Blevins.
Yes.
Communications. Okay. Citizens, I don't see anyone. Committee reports. I don't think we had any.
No.
Old business. Water meters?
I'll deal with that. I spoke with our solicitor, and he even drafted up a sample of what the ordinance would look like. If you remember our discussion in that, why we wanted to do that for accountability as far as for, basically for Beth, so she would know. And essentially, in a nutshell, we can't force them at a timetable. You know, that was the big question. Can we say, the question was, can at 2016 or whatever, at such a date, you will do this. But we can do that, it's just that it's on the village's tab. Then there's not a problem. The village will change over the meters and stuff. I did take the liberty to call Terry Willis, even though he's semi-retired, because I assumed he probably was in most of these buildings, and he owns one himself. And it seems like, and I'm not familiar with all the buildings, because there's not that many. There's just, you know, a half a dozen that would be issues. There's I think 2 others, Peggy said, that were not in the downtown district, but they've been pretty good about reporting. You know, we just have really an occasional issue of not knowing who's up there. But when I talked to Terry, he said, like in his case, it would be difficult at best because they pay all the expenses. So they use one hot water tank. So you can meter a cold line in, but the hot, so what do you know, you'd have to create another hot water system or meter both. I don't know how you would do, you know, you'd have to split lines, and it'd be more difficult than first thought of. I mean, it sounds like it would be simple, and I know it would be at my house, or probably all of our houses, but in these particular cases, since these landowners are paying for everything, they didn't bother to, you know, they just had that system. So in lieu of that, talking back with the attorney and coming back with him on this, he thought that we could probably achieve the same results. We have a questionnaire form now, be a little more stringent on it, that, and like you have in the past, if someone's noticed in an apartment, you know, you notice there's extra dog droppings in a particular area, maybe someone's living there that has a dog, you check it out, you know, and give those people. Now, most of the landowners are real good about getting the paperwork filled out. They give it to their people. So to go through that, that's where we're at. So I put him on hold. I didn't want to spend any more money till I spoke with you folks, but in lieu of that, I'd like to take a look at what, you know, maybe tweak the questionnaire and encourage more of that than to go through the additional expense of the village, and or even a hardship even on some of those people like Terry's building, where how do they split the hot water, you know, I mean, that's something I hadn't thought about. I don't know if you folks have, but, so that's where we're at with the water meters, you know. The semi-truck lot, I do have one more suggestion I'd like to throw at the council. I know I've been playing ping pong with you guys on this, but for the sake of the budget and the $6,000, I mean, we'll be ready to go. Today was our last leaf day. The guys went around and picked up again. We were down, and I have that in my administrator's report on our trucks and stuff, but long story short, we got to looking at that. I'm kind of like the last fiscal officer. When you're around a long time, you get programmed into that. Well, the leaf box goes here and this goes there, and we don't have any room, kind of thing. And Dan had asked me once before, hey, you know, is there any way we can do something? I was like, we got to have snow over here. But what I've elected to propose to you folks, I have ordered a sign. I'm going to put it on one of the, just a portable sign that says, the sign says, if I can think of it, commercial parking only by permit. And then they'd have to come and see the chief or the police department or up in here. I mean, they're going to find out. Then the girls and the chief, for that matter, would have a list of their numbers and, you know, of the license plates. And then they would know. You wouldn't have to charge them a dime. It'd be a service. But if we took all this stuff and we had a bunch of other things, we're hauling it out to the lagoons. It's a seasonal thing. I mean, it's kind of a pain. It definitely is, because just like in our leaf box, we take it off with 2 tractors. You know, we have 2 front end loaders, one on the backhoe and one on a regular tractor. And we hook it through chains and we lift it up and get it all taken off, and then it's a 3-man operation. They drive through, and then we set it up on logs so it doesn't dry out underneath. And so, you know, we have to drive 2 tractors out to the lagoons and back, but big deal. I mean, it is only once a year. So being in that mindset that we're here, we can move stuff. So, and there's other things too, pipes and stuff that we've had set up here. That it's not that much harder to drive out to the lagoons and get it. We have space there. If we would do that, we'll haul the dirt out to the, we have spoils that we're still hauling, so we still have time before it snows, hopefully. I mean, it's looking good now. In our piles, if you notice, we have several piles of different stone. We have 411 and so on, and still some of the 4s that we bought for that other project. We can keep those small for this year, because typically we won't, if we need them, we can run to Scott's and get some 411 and move everything over in a way so that we have room on this side. It's not very far, much further to push. I measured it today, and it's 83 feet. We were looking at 80 by 100, so that's from the wall. I would take it all the way from the wall of the salt building to where actually the semi's parked at, and still have sight distance. So approximately the same size that you would have. Maybe could we do that as a trial run for a year to see what happens? Worst case scenario, if we get blasted like we did last year, on off days, we'd have to do some hauling out to the water plant to dump. You know, it's not the ideal situation, but you know, maybe we only have 3 people. There already was one person that came in and asked Beth,
John Nichols.
okay, and he wanted to know if he could use this, so they still know about it. I mean, they're kind of used to it. They know that the council's looking at parking for them, and he basically wanted to know if he could do this until something else changed, so of course you naturally told him, yeah, no problem. Does any of that interest you folks?
Oh, we'd save $6,000. That interesting.
Sounds reasonable for a trial run. Like you
Yeah.
said, try it for a year, see if there's a big demand for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
What
see how,
about something you had brought up before, the pavement not holding up?
Well, it doesn't. There's no doubt about that, but it's been that way for 20 years, and we keep throwing chip and seal on it. So it's not a big deal, and it's an easy fix. I mean, I don't personally like it. It's not my preference, but I'm with Terry. I don't like spending $6,000 at this stage of the game neither. They've done it, but, well, how long, Bob, you've been here? And
forever.
you, Terry, yeah. I mean, you know, since I've been here in town, I mean, 20-some years now, I've
Parked
been,
out
they
here.
park there, yeah. They're kind of used to it. I think it'd be real easy to keep an eye on it, not that it would be a hard thing to go out to the water plant, but, I mean, geez, you walk in the back door every day, if you see a strange truck like we do, and I know that last years and years before that, I know several, people in Bryan, people out in the country, they're not residents, you know, as much as we'd like to be all things to all people, you know, we do have to look at our residents first. So I really think that would suffice, and just like that gentleman that parks, you know, the ordinance only says, I believe it's from 6 to 6 or something, it's only evening parking. It's not like, you know, a permanent deal. There's some people that drop their rig and might take their tractor trailer in the daytime, but then pull out at night. I saw one do that this afternoon. You know, did exactly that. I just kind of peeked out my window and looked at it. So if it works, I've got the sign coming, so if it works, we can finish moving the rest of that stuff out and drop the box. And
Are we going to make, like, do some pavement markings or some way of showing them where we want them?
we can, I mean,
I'm not talking about striping it, but just
right.
like maybe little corner markings so they know from here to here versus.
Yeah, we can
someplace
try
we
that,
want
you
them.
know, whether, you know, it's tough
Yeah,
on
and
paint
snow,
right
they
now.
don't see
Snow
it.
covers it.
Right, yeah, and then it
But
being
yeah,
as cold as it is, it's hard
They
to,
know where that was to start with.
Yeah, or put semi on the pavement or something, I don't.
yeah, and maybe we
Isn't
can
it
make
work,
up a
Steve?
couple little signs.
I don't have a problem with it.
Can we get a little bit more lighting up here?
Yeah, well, did you notice we got 2 new bulbs running, and we also put lighting in directly over the door for the EMS? In fact, I've got an EMS meeting, the annual meeting, Wednesday. And so there'll be some answers to some questions and just where we're going with that. But yeah, but they did finally get that fixed just recently.
Well, what's everybody think?
I don't mind it. I mean, you look at security a little bit more here compared to out there, where it's dark, and that's why I asked about the light.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about lighting in the parking lot, but that would be black as black on the other side of the building. I mean, you'd have to run electricity or make accommodations for that, because.
Yeah.
Because out there,
there's a
you can
pole.
do about anything you wanted, and nobody would know it.
Yeah. Well, let's try it then.
Everybody on board with that?
I'm okay to try it.
Great.
If it doesn't work, we have a contingency.
Right. That was a very negative, I guess.
That takes care of the problem that's been addressed over the parking situation on the streets, so.
Yeah.
East, let's move it toward the right.
Is that area available to them now?
Yes. Okay. I mean, we got some picking tables and some
If you could.
some garbage to still finish up, but I mean,
You can
there's
do
trucks
that.
there right now.
And
This
then
week's supposed to be
for
good.
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
police
we'll take care of it.
department, those that they locate in the roadway warnings on the road down there?
Yeah.
And let them, sound good?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time, please?
Warnings that, you know, it's not allowed parking on the street if they're illegally
As far as
parked.
on Defiance Street?
Well, Defiance, and I think Church Street was one of the problems too. Weren't they parking? Yeah. So-
I mean, I'm just, do we have an ordinance
Yes.
against
I
parking
believe
semi-trucks?
So,
Commercial vehicles is what it says, which says tractor trailer, it even says agriculture trailer,
but
which
now we can tell them, hey,
isn't commercial,
we've
but
got a spot for you here, if you would please use that.
No
But if
problem.
they're just
It is-
going to get something that carry out and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
No, and they're allowed to park in the
specified
daytime,
times.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
daytime,
it's just
they
like
can park there.
six.
yeah, 6 to 6, I think.
And yeah, you're right.
6 p.m.
They're-
to 6 a.m.
If they're jumping out of their truck to go in and get their suitcase and leave,
Right.
even if it's 8 o'clock at night. But if they park it there, that's another story.
Okay.
I mean, that'd be my two. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's perfect if you got that kind of room.
If you got, yeah. All right, I'd like to move, we're going to executive session for personnel, and possible hiring personnel with just the council and the mayor.
Before you folks go into this, Beth and I would request that we'd like to work as a team on this. We know where the mayor's going and where he's going with it. I will test this out because I don't believe it's a legal executive session. And here's the Ohio Revised Code that states that.
I've got it,
Okay, you do?
I do.
This one right here. Does
I've
the
got
does the rest of the council have this?
I have from the auditor of state, so I think we're covered.
Okay. That's this on anyway, just so you know. Yeah. You speak with the attorney on this? It's this right here.
I have it from the auditor of state.
And you spoke to him about this.
I don't think the auditor of state needs to speak to him.
Do we got them all?
Yep. We got it.
Do you want a copy? I think
That's on second day.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one side of Dan disappointed in.
I understand that, Mr. St. John, and that is fine. However, I don't think you know the entirety of this executive session, so we put a motion on the table.
It was seconded by Mr. Fox.
I'm sorry, I'm just catching up.
Okay. Mr. Fox seconded it.
Yep, I got that.
Okay.
I'm waiting for compensation on personnel and possible, sorry, possible money.
Roll call.
Okay. Fox,
Yes.
Wheelan,
Yes?
Whittick,
Nope.
Beck,
Yes.
Blevins,
Yes.
Sperling.
Yes.
Okay.
Recording.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, I was saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back on.
And I'll make it up, we just hit it.
Not right.
Did you guys vote to return?
Yes.
No, we haven't voted on anything.
Well, no, to return.
Just to
Come out
return
with
to
that.
session.
Yeah.
We haven't voted to do it. You made the motion.
I made a motion and I don't know.
It was seconded.
I guess Bob did.
Okay. I just gotta
I
write
can-
somebody down.
Thanks,
okay.
Bob.
You're welcome.
Somebody did, it was a couple of us.
At least 5 minutes. Oh, we didn't vote either.
say,
now.
sure.
So I'm gonna have to do this one.
Huh?
Go ahead,
Oh,
you do roll call.
oh, yeah, were they
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Levens?
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling.
Yes. Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to have the mayor start looking for a zoning inspector with a minimum and maximum salary range, but also paid hourly when they work. We'll have a minimum to entice them. And then minimum maximum per hour that they would actually, if they get called to do zoning inspecting.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, who seconded this? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Roll call, please.
Beck,
Yes.
Levens?
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Whittick.
Yes.
And that brings us to legislation. First is emergency resolution 2014-6, solid waste management plan update.
Well, I'll just entertain a motion to declare an emergency for resolution 12-2014-6.
Second.
Roll call?
Levens,
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
I make a motion to pass resolution 2014-6 as an emergency.
Second that motion.
Roll call?
Sperling? Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Levens.
Yes.
Next is emergency resolution 2014-7, appointment of Ryan Thompson as the village solicitor for the sole purpose of collecting municipal income taxes of the village.
I would move that we declare that an emergency.
Second.
Roll call?
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Levens.
Yes.
Sperling.
Yes.
Move that we pass 2014-7.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Wheeling.
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Levens.
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Next on the agenda would be emergency ordinance number 2014-10, 2015 permanent annual appropriation ordinance.
Make a motion to declare emergency for ordinance number 2014-10.
Second that motion.
Roll call?
Whittick,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Levens.
Yes.
Sperling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling.
Yes. Move we pass ordinance 2014-10.
Second.
I missed the second again. Okay, either one.
Roll call?
Beck,
Yes.
Levens,
Yes.
Spurling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Whittick.
Yes.
And next is emergency ordinance 2014-11.
I have an amendment, I noticed I made a mistake on that one.
Okay.
If you look at the, I guess I gave you guys the current one highlighted.
Yep.
If you go to the last page on the 11
Of the new or the old?
of the new, the
Section 11, you say?
well, the last page of section 2 of the
Addendum,
2014-11, which, actually Mr. Spurling brought this to my attention. I forgot to type the rest of number 2.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, I just stopped, and you actually need that in there because at number 1 says they get 25 cents if they have a license. Number 2 is the person spraying gets that. So I didn't mean to let that out of there. I meant to change number 1, but not change number 2, leave number 2 the same on there.
So what you would say, employees who are performing mosquito control, we paid $1 additional to their base while mixing or disposing.
Yeah, I want it to be the same way it is,
Absolutely.
the same way it is in the current one.
Okay.
I didn't mean to leave that out.
With that adjustment.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I guess maybe I should let you suspend and then like that.
Yeah, you want an emergency.
Yeah.
We're gonna-
Actually, there's no raises or anything in it. The things that are changed are, the allocation of how Gary's paid and the deductible for the insurance. And just kind of cleaning up the wording
Okay.
and, I guess the snow plow, the flat rate for plowing snow.
I move we declare an emergency on 2014-11. With the.
Okay.
I'll jump in.
Roll call?
Levens,
Yes.
Spurling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Beck.
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to pass ordinance 2014-11 to repeal ordinance 2014-1 with the modification to addendum A as aforementioned.
That's where I was
Second.
going. I knew we wanted to say it.
Roll call?
Spurling,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Wheeling,
Yes.
Whittick,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Levens.
Yes.
Okay. Brings us to our administrator report.
First, I'd like to just bring you up to date on Peg's mother had a series of mini strokes, and we found out about it this weekend. Since the episode with the zoning inspector, we've been unfriended and out of the loop with the gentleman's mother, who was Peg's best friend. But luckily, our daughter still has some connections where they're talking to her, so she's keeping us informed. So that's where that stands. So we're not sure where she's going to go. And my mother, 3 weeks ago, she had her hip and broke her arm. She's 81, so got a couple mom problems going on.
Wow.
So we will be going down, it's our turn. My sister was down there when it first happened. She flew down, and now we're gonna go down for a few weeks, and because, you know, she's totally incapacitated, and her husband's 84, so he can't help her at all. You know, we have to help him, so that's what's happening there. As far as administrators report, you know, we've been doing the leaves. We talked about that briefly. We're finished with the leaves. Still a lot of brush. We had a water main valve leak that we were able to fix down there off of Lynn, so that's taken care of. For some reason, we've had more than usual residents with water leaks and freezing, and it's really not been that cold. And you know, of all the cold winter we had last year, we've had just a grunt load of them. And of course, we're assisting them. We're shutting them off, and again, they're putting shut off, so that's a good thing. So you know, it's coming around. But and then of course we had the high winds and telephone poles, and we were out of electricity and barricading things around that, and with Steve's direction. But we were out of power for quite a while, and if you had any, some of you may have even had calls, but actually our lift stations were backing up because we didn't have power. So we had to babysit it essentially until power came back on, because we have a big generator, but it's not one of those kind like your home generators where demand power. This baby just rips wide open and keeps things going. So not a big deal, just something that was a little unusual that happened this month. And then we only have one truck because, you know, we have the leaf box that filled, and then we had to put a plow and salt box on our truck early. So we were using what we call Big Red, and it went down on us for a week. So we had a transmission issue, we go in reverse. And that's the truck that we use for our brush. So if you had anybody that called and said, hey, what's up with the brush, which we did have, these people are so used to seeing brush pickup literally every day written here. We couldn't do anything for a week. All we had was a couple of pickup trucks. But in fact, I went down and picked it up. I can't remember what day it was, over the lunch hour, and we were picking up brush when we got back in the striker, you know. So, in fact, I think there was even some brush in front of your house, Joey, for a little bit during that time period.
Oh,
If
yeah.
memory serves right. Can't remember all the piles, but
And
anyway.
it was a little
Yeah.
there.
So that's kind of, you know, besides the day-to-day routines, those are some of the extra little special things that we got going on. We do have a leak at where the guys went through and they did some boring by the mill. We've got the valve shut down. It can be opened at any time. We're not going to fix it at this point, just because we're gonna have to chase it, and it's not a good time to do that, so we're gonna hold off on it. I mean, everybody's got water, not an issue, we do that a lot. I do have a couple of more meetings to go to this week. I will be meeting with EMS, Mike, especially if you're of interest, on Wednesday, and then I have a revolving loan with the county on Thursday for a expansion on a business, so that might be a good thing for the area, you know, not necessarily striker, but could be jobs and whatnot. I met with A. Schulman representatives, kind of after the fact. The mayor had already met with them. It was unfortunate that we couldn't all get together. Our task force wasn't called in, but nevertheless, it is what it is. But there was a couple of representatives from Schulman, Melissa Swan, and she's actually the plant manager. And then we had, no, I'm sorry, Carol Snare was the plant manager, and Melissa Swan is the human resource manager, and she's for the plastic colorants, and she's over like 5 different companies. She's now stationed here because we're changing over. We started to tell them, we had Mike J. there with Regional Growth Partners. He is the director of the strategic networks. He helps cut deals and makes things happen. We had Jobs Ohio there naturally, and there was 8 of us sat around the round table, and you know, we started to go into our pitch, how did this happen, you know, what can we do, because it is CRA, didn't know if they knew that, if they needed to do expansion. The mayor had mentioned that they had talked a few dollars and different possibilities. Of course, we didn't know what that was, or if there was anything we could do to help. There's tax incentive credits out there that, there's several county programs that they may not be aware of because our county is special in that end of it. And of course, the Village of Stryker itself has some tax incentive and some things. And also, if you recall, we had talked about some compliance issues. Leave it at that, and you realize that we have a variance now for that compliance, so we could actually, you know, if that was an issue, that could have been addressed. And that, it was a $10 million operation, and I think the mayor had mentioned that number. Now, again, I don't know anything about it, because as soon as I started to put the pitch out there, the human resource manager, Melissa, she said, Mr. St. John, I just need to stop you because it's over. It's done. We're pulling out. And of course, as persistent as I can be, I still said it just doesn't make sense because you painted the building. You know, you were doing all this. You just called me weeks earlier and wanted me to, if there's any way we could help, you know, with the tower and everything. Typically, when people buy just for assets, they mothball it and they move on. You know, they don't paint it and take care of it and put all the compliance stuff that they've done, with the exception of the one issue that the variance would cover. No response. So the game plan is this. They're still working with the union, and they basically got it worked out where they want to keep their employees because they're not even taking any of the equipment. They don't want anything. They're just satisfying the customers that they have now, so they're going to keep these people on board until they can get approval from their other plans where it meets their specifications and standards. Then after that, they'll start phasing. They won't do any phasing according to the human resource manager until February. They'll start. And they want to keep their employees. They are paid well. It's an average of a $20, my understanding is what they said. And there is 67 of them that will no longer have a job, which, you know, is just terrible, but it is what it is. I asked them if they needed any help with their equipment, and they would, as far as getting rid of it. And we know a plastics person that specializes in that. Some of that equipment he might be able to help move. There is 2 people interested in the building. I will say this. The building will sell, I feel very confident, and it will be filled again. When I first came here, there was over a couple hundred people that worked there. Of course, the Arrow True Line was in business, Derby Cone was in business. You know, I've seen them all fall by the wayside. But this building is a well-kept-up building. It has real high ceilings, catwalks and everything, and it has the railroad spur, and those are things that people want. The Stridell buildings, they're a hard sell. You know, in fact, one of the persons that's interested in this building, I personally talked to, and they weren't interested, too low a ceiling. This is something that this person is interested in. So, you know, I feel very comfortable. They're going to try to get out in April, be finished. They figure that they'll have their people in place. Now, Jobs Ohio, Judy Preston was also there, and representatives of those people. And what they're trying to do is they're going to place these people. In fact, as Judy mentioned in the last Whiteco meeting, there's actually people with a waiting list that they want our Farrell people because they have experience in that. And Jerry, you went through that with the HR, with your own company, you know how that works. But Jobs Ohio is going to be able to place a lot of them. It's not, granted, because of attrition and the fact that they were there longer, they're probably going to start lower wages, and that's the tough part, and that's why I'm sure they'll stay until they can't stay no longer. But they have, tentatively, they want to be out the 1st of April, but the contract actually is extended with the union till the 12th, and if need be, and they don't believe at this time it will be needed, but they have the option of extending the contract, and this is working with the union. So what they're trying to do is just keep their customers satisfied. But all the equipment, the building is for sale. They did say that I could list it. They did say that I could call these people, so I will be doing that tomorrow. I wanted to give you first heads up before even they knew about it. They said that we could list it with our state leads, and we could use Wedco and our roundtable people. And what we'd like to do is, if we could get some people together to help liquidate, if you will, their inventory inside, then the quicker we can get that done, the quicker we can get the new company in. And I really think that we'll see a couple hundred people working in a very short time, you know. I feel optimistic. My sadness goes out to my neighbor who works there, you know, people like that, people that are in Stryker, even though there's only somewhere around 7%, I think, definitely less than 10 of everybody that doesn't work in Stryker. We have some people in Stryker, and I feel bad for that, as well as all of them, but especially them. I mean, you look around the room, and Terry was out of Stryker, Mike's out of Stryker, Bob, Joey, you know, Dan, Rick was. So, you know, I mean, it's pretty obvious. So that's all I have. Just want to kind of keep you informed on what I've been trying to do.
You said that you know some people that might have interest. Is that manufacturing? I mean, can you tell
Yes.
us?
Well, the only thing I can say right now is they're interested in the building, and they'll be able to put placement in it. Manufacturing, oh yeah, oh definitely,
Personnel.
nowhere else, no, it'll
Not
be,
a
oh no,
storage facility?
not for that kind of money.
Okay.
Good. Well, that's good, I'm glad to hear we're jumping right on that. 'Cause
I would say, you made a motion for the mayor to look for a zoning inspector again. That's good. I have been working since my request on that very issue. I have some suggestions. Actually, I have one person that is willing to take that position possibly. I'd rather, if I don't have to, share it today, but I will, you know, in a committee meeting or something, we wanted to get together.
No, I think that's something we can just go through with the mayor,
Yeah, that's
since we asked him to start the search or
Yeah.
start the
Well,
process.
and I have an exit strategy for myself also that I'd like to share with the council. I think would be palatable and save the village a lot of money. I would sure like to work as a team, both with Mrs. Rediger and myself, with the council and the mayor, to do what's best for Stryker, whatever that is. And I would hope that you would take my 39 plus years now under advisement at least, you know. But again, you don't have to. I have no skin in the game. I strictly wanting to do something for Stryker, and you know, I have to say, whether the mayor talked to the Attorney General or not, I do know that was a wrong move. But
Mr. St. John, you obviously have had your feathers ruffled because I didn't call you down to the Schulman meeting when they contacted me to advise me that they were closing. You were off sick. They did not advise over the telephone what that meeting was going to entail. And I really think that you need to understand that your service to the village is extremely appreciated. Your knowledge and expertise is above anyone sitting here, but you were off home sick.
right. But you didn't call your task force even, Dan.
I did not, I was not advised what the conversation was going to entail. They could have given me a Christmas basket for all I knew. I was not going to pull the fire drill before I knew what was going to occur. Now, you had your meeting today, and they basically told you the very same exact thing they told me. That's great, but you really need to understand that, number one, your communication with me is slim to none. And in this particular case, you are off home sick. I put out an email after I had my meeting with them. I actually stopped here, she was here that particular day, and informed her. If you would have been here, I would have informed you. I informed council that day after I was done with my job. So I just really feel that you need to take a step back, because you took it personal, and it wasn't personal.
I didn't take it personal, Dan, I took it as protocol.
No.
With the task force, and, you know, I won't argue about it, it's done, I think it's unfortunate.
And I don't think there's a single thing that would have been different.
And I don't know that either, and I'm not advocating that. And as
But
you
you're
saw-
placing blame,
But as
and
you-
that's not going to move us forward.
Right, but as you've heard Judy make the comment, it's a shame that we didn't all know about this.
Had I
Quote,
known
unquote.
specifically 100% they were going to close, I may have went about it differently. But they did not say that over the phone. They contacted me, asked me if I could meet with them. I told them I could. I did. I notified everybody from that.
And that's
point.
when, but when typically, and in our task force meetings, and in our Woodco meetings, when anyone, and the mayor is usually the one that's contacted because he is the figurehead. When anyone invites you to their factory, they try to keep it small. That's why we created a 3-member task force, because when the mayor, typically the administrator, and in this case, like a Jason Baltosser, I don't even know if he's still on the task force with you or what, but those, when they see a bunch of people walking through the factory, these people get nervous. I mean, the workers, they see this and go, something's happening, you know, so they try to keep it very low key, but that's the protocol, is that if we get an invite to come and see something, that the task force is, and it's in the bylaws, I mean, it's spelled out. And
If you
that
want
was
to
the-
step back even further, you and Chief Slusher were exchanging emails, or not emails, text messages. So you actually knew about it before I did. So if you really want to go there, you could have contacted me that morning and said, oh, by the way, Chief Slusher texted me and said that they're having a meeting because they're closing.
No, this was after. Dan.
No, it wasn't. I still got the text messages.
So do I, but go on.
So,
Well, that text was both of you.
Yeah,
It was a group.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
And that's when Jason had to escort the people.
Correct.
That was the day that Dan had the meeting,
Yes.
correct.
not prior, so it was not prior.
Yes, it was prior to the meeting.
By hours?
So anyhow, you need to move forward.
Correct.
You need to just put it behind you and move forward, because this isn't going to get us anywhere. The communications between the two of us is terrible. It's been terrible ever since Mr. Beck questioned why 2 people were riding in the truck, and you immediately wanted every text message, every email, everything that I had ever received since I took office. And I think that was a very poor knee-jerk reaction, and our communication has went backwards ever since. And if we're going to work together for the next year, it needs to improve.
Well, I agree. In fact, we called you to a special meeting, myself, Chief Slusher, and Mrs. Rediger,
Absolutely.
to ask for communication, because
And
we've
you
never
will
seen you.
recall that I apologize because of other items that I have to do to make sure that I survive. So, do you have anything on the Larry Souls zoning issue?
It's in the attorney's hands. I know that Mark was served in the downstairs apartment. So, last I knew that they were going to Judge Stelzer and ask for a free trial. And so that's where they're at with it. It's in their hands totally now. But,
Does anybody else have any questions for the administrator? Village officials.
Is this for discussion?
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well,
I'm
it can
sorry.
be. Yeah,
Okay.
I got off on a tangent here, I'm sorry. You saw that I left that. Again, I did talk to the mayor on this one, we did a communication, and it was just a thought. I didn't know if it's even a good thought.
Never hurts to ask.
Well, that's, I just kinda wanted to head Bob, it's not a big thing, until they show interest. I think it would be a good, if the price is right, it's a real good deal, I
It's a
think.
great idea.
Just looking ahead, sat there for so long, you know, I wanted to kind of run it by you.
We discussed years ago a drive-up option for paying utility bills and whatnot. I think it's a great idea, if they were interested.
And I have,
Donation would be wonderful.
well, that's where
If
I'm
there was
at with it,
expense,
and
we'd
as
have
you
to
can see,
discuss expense.
it will be just this with, and I'm sure they've got attorneys that know a whole lot more than I do on this, but there is sections in the IRS code that make it very palatable to do such a thing. So I will send a one-copy deal over there, and I will send it to that person, and we'll just see where they go.
Yeah.
I think it'd make a better police department.
Drive-through police department?
But until, just like this is a, because it can give unfair advantage, you know, I would, this is as far as open session that I want to take it at this point.
Right.
I.e. the press, I'm sorry, but,
Donation or something, fine, but otherwise,
well,
I don't know how we,
I'll present it
yeah,
and then let you guys know, and if you do, we'll
okay.
discuss it in open session.
Just asking.
Go from there. Yeah, thanks, Bob, I thought this good stuff.
All right, thank you.
All right, gentlemen. Not a whole lot going on, gents.
Good.
I mean, we've had some pretty substantial, I mean, as far as volume wise, one of our lower number of months in a little while. But we've had some pretty good ones in there. There's no doubt about it. I guess really not any, nothing that the press needs to be concerned about, but the ever increasing problem with heroin and other illicit drugs are, oh boy, I mean, we're in deep in this immediate area, Williams County in general. And, you know, we have a fantastic man unit, drug task force, and, you know, they're here a lot, and they're helping us out a lot, and that's really our biggest problem right now are the illicit drugs. And, you know, I just don't know what we can do. You know, again, the 24-hour coverage hopefully will continue next year. You know, we need officers on the streets. We need trained officers, good training, you know, in this type of stuff. And that's really our biggest threat to our society right now is that type of stuff that's going on right here under our noses. And I mean, man units swamped, backed up. I'm not saying they're not so backed up where they can't get their stuff investigated, but it's to the point where they are inundated with these calls. And as a matter of fact, we just had one tonight. So not us, but we assisted on that. So, but as far as our activity, like I said, we didn't have a whole lot going on this past month, but what we did have, it kept us busy. This Saturday, Cops with Kids transitioned into this is what we as cops love to do, and this is what our job is all about right here, is what's going to happen on Saturday. You know, just honestly, I mean, as a father and as you know, a leader, you know, this is where we make our money right here, is with the kids and having that positive influence on them. You know, we can't control what goes on, you know, in these cities, you know, with the negative press on police officers. All we can do is we can try and do what we can.
with these young children and having that positive influence on them. And I can't tell you how many times I walked through the school and the kids that I took shopping 4 or 5 years ago, to this day, will come up and give me a hug, you know, and thank me from 4 or 5 years ago for taking them shopping. You know, and it's just an awesome thing. We want, obviously, nothing, you know, this is going to continue to happen no matter what, but it's just it's a great thing. And, so, on the personal side, my wife and I are leaving for Texas on Wednesday. I'll be back to work on Tuesday. I do have an interview with an agency on Thursday afternoon, and I'll be taking a test for another agency on Saturday. If that doesn't pan out, I do have another testing scheduled for January 31st for a larger agency down there, and you know, hopefully good things will happen, and good things will continue to happen for this village. I'm not going anywhere yet, but it's in motion. So, going back to the activity, I'm kind of jumping around here. 61 total calls for service, had 6 traffic citations, 21 warnings, 3 adult arrests, and 2 juvenile arrests. So, other than that,
Any questions for Chief Selectman?
I got 2 comments / questions, statements, however you want to word them. Obviously, we know that right now in the media, police are just about headlining every news source out there. And one of the big items is the personal cameras that go on a uniform. Is that something that you're considering for the department, or it's not really necessarily something that you see as a need right now, or what's your thoughts on it?
I think they're a fantastic idea.
Okay.
When we were, you know, in the click it or ticket campaigns, the drive sober, get pulled over, all those campaigns, we get free equipment from the Ohio Department of Transportation. Right now, they used to offer the body-worn cameras,
Okay.
and for some reason they stopped. That was like my next, you know, I was looking forward to it. I don't need another radar unit. Judas Priest, we got 2 brand new ones, you know, sitting in there. And I don't need another radar unit. They were offering handheld radars. You know, they were offering portable breath testers, and but the body cameras seem to go pretty fast. And obviously, you know, the big C's, Cleveland, Columbus,
Sure.
Cincinnati, Dayton, they're going to get they're going to get their choice of equipment. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of, you know, companies promoting those things. They are, for the size of them, they are very expensive. But is it something that we should invest in? I'm all for it. You know, but right now, I mean, I don't think we have. We're okay. I don't think we're in the position to spend that type of money, unless we can swing it some way. I don't know. But I will absolutely put something together and see exactly what it's going to cost. Truly, we don't need, you know, really more than 2. I think we can absolutely get by with 2 of them. Just to at least have one for a backup in case one would go down. But I can look into it. Because I think it is, the camera, period, has saved it. If you do have an officer that tends to go wayward, that camera will make them a very honest man, knowing that that camera is on. OVIRS, they work for us more than it works against us. That is certainly the truth. Body cameras, I have to believe would be the exact same thing.
I just, without going too much, but I just spoke with a law enforcement individual, and we had the same conversation. And during the traffic stop, the car cam would not have picked up what he picked up.
Mhm.
And in this case, the body cam would have justified
Sure.
what was seen, what was done, the reaction, where the one in the car would not have. So I think it's one of those, it protects you as much, you as an individual, of a police officer, as much as it does the other individual.
Absolutely.
It's just a justification,
Yeah.
here it is. So that's why I asked, and I'm kind of curious of it. The other question I was gonna have, you mentioned after, on your report, the biggest deal right now is the drugs in Williams County, and it's on the rise. Hopefully it's done rising. But training for our officers, where are we at? Do we need more as a village for the officers, or are we adequate? And I don't necessarily mean, I wanna be just adequate, but are we to the standard we need to be?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So how do we go about getting better?
Pay the officers for the training. I can absolutely bring, I can tell officers that we are gonna put this training on this day,
Okay.
but I also have to pay them. Okay, I just can't say we're gonna have training, it's mandatory that you be here, and not pay them. Because you know as well as I do, you cannot do that.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
That has been the issue for the last 2 years. I've been able to send officers to some training. There has been free training, no cost training,
Right.
but I still am required to pay them. Whether they're traveling to Toledo, to Owens, you know, we're in a fantastic situation with Owens. I pay, what, $200 a year, somewhere around there? I paid $200 a year to Owens last year, and they offered over 250 hours of training to every single officer in my department for $200.
You just need to get them.
I just need to get them there.
Fantastic. We've got 3 cars.
We got 3 cars, and we have to pay them their hourly wage. We gotta pay for the fuel to get them there. Yeah, I could pack them all in, you know, in.
The backseat of a cruiser?
Seriously, and, you know, and send them, but, you know, there again, I mean, but I also have officers that are working 60-hour week jobs.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, these trainings are throughout the week. So really, I have available maybe 2 guys that can go. Or if JR happens to get off shift and he wants to go to one of them, which he's done in the past. You know, but the bottom line is that it takes money, and we don't have it.
And that's something that will be you guys, right? As far as with what you feel we need for training.
Mhm.
And have you already submitted that?
Yes, that's
Yes. Okay. Was that included?
I asked for an increase in training
Okay.
revenue, or in my training.
The other public service departments have noted that those who aren't available during normal daytime hours, it's very difficult to schedule training for those
Absolutely.
folks. And if you've got individuals working 40, 50, 60-hour full-time jobs elsewhere, and now you're going to try to find an evening or weekend to squeeze in a specialized course, that could be,
It's tough.
it could still be difficult. I mean, certainly the money would help, but you may still have some individuals.
You know,
that's
there are,
gonna be
you know,
hard
with
pressed.
the Ohio Law Enforcement Gateway, which is, now it's kind of hard to explain, but you can get on there and you can, Like, you can bring up driving record and DMV photographs, things like that. It's a tool, it's an investigative tool for law enforcement. But they also have training on there. It is obviously absolutely free. And on there, I couldn't even give you an approximate hours of training, but I mean, they have blocks and blocks and blocks of training, and you know, and a lot, some of that is drug related, drug recognition, and you know, basic investigation, drug related investigations. And I can say, you know, honestly, that probably 9 of the 11 guys have completed every block, you know, in that stuff, you know, on OLEG. So, but it's still not the same. I mean, it is sitting in front of a monitor, you know, and looking at, and you know, and taking a test, you know, a short quiz afterwards. But it's not the same as being there and being able to pick that pipe up and smell it, for that matter, and you know, to see what, you know, that thing looks and what it feels like and what it smells like. You know, there's no substitute for that. But we don't live in a perfect world.
Right.
And I understand budget restraints, and we just have to make do with what we have. Sometimes you just got to learn on the fly.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Which brings
All
us,
right. Have a safe trip. I will. Thank you.
brings us to other. I have one very important other, because it was an omission in the last meeting. Don't have a clue what I was thinking of. But our last meeting was on November 10th, and Veterans Day was November 11th. And it slipped right past me. And that's shame on me, because we have veterans sitting here in this room. We have veterans all across the country that serve their country honorably and admirably. And I failed to bring that forward, and I would like to correct that. I think the country would be in a very, very sad shape without our veterans and our military servicemen. And I would just like to say thank you to them today, tomorrow, and every day in the future.
Absolutely.
Anyone else have anything that they would like to bring forward? Would it be possible to have a judiciary committee sometime in January? Doesn't matter if it's before the council meeting, after.
You want it before, you said?
I said it doesn't have to be, no.
Oh.
It can be the week before, the week of, the week after, it just some things to get rolling.
January 12th is our next meeting. January 19th be all right?
No, if we have it after the meeting, will these committees rearrange and have different membership?
It will be a different, it could be.
It could be different, yeah.
Or we could just roll them over. But yeah, there would always have potential if you wanted to be on something different. And the 19th is in blue. Is that
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King Day? Wasn't sure if it was his day or
What's
whether
it,
it
what
was
is it?
January 5th?
Okay, so the 12th or 5th?
What's the item you want us to look at?
You can do the 5th, you can't do the 19th.
Various,
You say you can
there's
do
no
the
one
5th?
in particular.
Okay. Any particular time you want it? Anytime, good?
What was your, what do you want to discuss, Dan?
January
You said
5th.
there was a few of them.
Yeah, the way certain parts of our policies and procedure and ordinances are aligned.
What day?
January 5th.
Okay.
Whatever you guys are comfortable with, what time?
I can
6,
be-
5,
Works for you.
don't matter.
Six.
I mean, I'm
Six. We could maybe still have the fire meeting.
Oh, do you, oh, for your 5 minutes, why don't we go earlier then?
5.
If the others can do it.
I'm good for 5.
Okay.
Okay, January 5th,
At 5?
January 5th at 5 o'clock PM. This year is
Of course, again, at that point, I'd still be rec to Mike and Joey and Rob.
Oh, that's right, because it's before our
Yeah.
first meeting. So, if we should happen to reorganize the
Right.
committees.
If you don't change it, still be. Okay, January 5th at 5. 5.
Before we close,
I have
before we
one.
end, I have one thing. I kind of really kind of say nicely, kind of ticked me off. With the power being out, I don't know, has anybody ever approached from those people with the power out? Like in a charter court,
Approached in what way?
with like no heat for almost 24 hours?
I was.
I don't know, I just thought maybe the village ought to offer maybe like a shelter. Say, we got the fire hall, we got the shelter house,
Absolutely.
coaching people down there. There are some citizens down there, senior citizens. I lived in a charter for 11 and a half years and
Think it's cold quick.
I cannot imagine what those people were going through. When I went there and seen Edison actually leave town, 2 trucks sit down there for almost 3.5 hours. And I seen them leaving town about 10 o'clock. So when I seen them 2 trucks leave town to go to Waseon, it's like, okay, they're not gonna do nothing till tomorrow morning. But I think, this is my opinion, I don't know, should we say door knocking or some way of letting them people know?
We need to be made aware of it ourselves.
I think
first
that'd been a
before we
courteous
take
thing to
action.
at least offer it.
We made a contingency plan, if you folks, Bob and Rex, you may remember it even. I can't remember which one of the 5 mayors it was that I worked with on it, but at that time, the fire department was over here, and there wasn't anything other than the contingency plan, but we put it together and we had to do it in the emergency management portion of it. And at that time, if you recall, we wired up for generation power, and that this was going to be like central, so if you didn't have heat, if you needed, this was going to be, if you lost a loved one or what, a disaster or whatever, it'd come to the fire department, and, because that made sense, we had, at the time, fuel pumps and stuff that we could keep things running. It ran the whole system. This was like central communications where computers would be up, and we set that up. I don't know if some modified system of that, if I could pull that.
Well, we have a generator capacity to run the new fire hall. We just don't have it installed and connected at this point in time.
Okay.
But we are working on
We have, the last chiefs meeting, we were informed that the Red Cross has changed the population density of what constitutes a district, and we're now with Lima, so any help we would get for cots and blankets and whatnot would have to be dispatched from Lima.
Okay.
We don't, we're really limited on that type of supplies at the hall. But as far as a warm place, we also don't actually have a kitchen up there as far as to cook any food as we had at this hall. But our plan is to have it available as a shelter.
Well, that makes
Couldn't
sense
you
at
do
the time.
Shelter house, and that's what, that has a kitchen, that has.
That's true, the shelter house.
But
They
I
actually
guess-
be more used, well, they don't have a generator, but there is other stuff.
That just upsets me with that total of many people, probably, I'm guessing 300 people probably. I don't know why Edison, their supervisors, why didn't they contact the mayor and say, hey, we're not gonna get this fixed till tomorrow morning?
So we
So,
would know.
we'll just let you know, if you wanna somehow contact these people, let them know, if you need heat, we got a shelter for you.
I I just had a couple people call from the trailer court, and basically they asked me if we had a day, or if we had time, when it was gonna come back on. And when they wrote, and I said, I think it's not gonna be till the next day, they're like, oh, we'll go somewhere,
23.5 hours
yeah,
later,
so, I mean.
my power was out.
They have a schedule, actually, that if you call, they use your phone number, and tentatively, they have, well, it should be done by 2 o'clock, or this, you know, they do have a schedule. And that's what we were telling the residents when they were calling in.
I called the 800 number and all I got was our crew's working on it. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, right. Your crew
I
just
just saw
left
that
straight.
where it wasn't.
Mhm.
But
But you're
that's
right.
me, you know, that's.
No, I
got my-
agree.
I got my feathers full.
Because my mother-in-law lives over there. I called Stevie, I said, what's going on, Steve? Because so we went and got her and brought her over, but there's 95 years old, and she don't need to be there.
But I guess I
For
look at
20
it-
some hours.
I guess I look at it, Edison should have said, hey, Mr. Mayor, our situation, we dropped the poles off, but our crew is not gonna be here till tomorrow morning. So just to let you know, so if those people call, say, hey, it's gonna be till tomorrow morning, we got a building, if you need heat, food or whatever,
Right.
till tomorrow morning, we got it.
Had they told us, told the mayor, or Gary, somebody, any one of us, we could all have got together and helped those people. That would make sense.
There's a few things, you know, the park is, that's a simple one, and a few people that have keys
Yeah.
for that, it's a.
We have ways to get in a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
Yeah, in that way, after, you know, if somebody
Well,
Yeah.
seen Steve and
Did
say,
you-
hey,
If you
okay,
had
what do I
looked
do?
at it, I mean, I
Steve
had
would know,
it
say,
all the
okay, we
time.
got this building set up down there, or whatever.
Yeah, and, you know, usually calls or requests like that would more than likely come through our office. I mean, that's who they're generally gonna call is us.
I think honestly it'd be sad if someone, 2 or 3 people will call and say, oh, we're sorry, we don't have nothing for you to know where to go.
Maybe the shelter house is safe, Joe, you being on the board, all you would have to do, I would think,
put a generator in.
well,
Yeah.
or just have a
Well, this-
generator ready. We do have
This
a
part of
generator in the
town-
village that,
If you have the switching gear, you just hook up your
yeah,
generator.
I mean, we've got one at the water plant and one that we, like I told you, we had to use in
From
standby, but we have a second
Tracks,
one now,
north, it was on.
Yeah.
Most of
No,
the
it's
fire trucks
possible.
have.
and those things are
Do a power
expensive.
connect.
All of
Yeah,
each.
it's real simple,
Maple,
you know, like a Willis and
Short
Johnson,
Street.
simple, it's not like you and I,
Right, whole job.
electrician, but.
And Wes,
Yeah.
I was out.
West had it.
Was that diesel?
I think, I could be way off base, Jerry, but I think, you know, several $100s is what's required, but it physically separates the incoming line from the building at that point, so you don't accidentally zap.
Right, you can't, yeah, it's
not-
dummy proof, when you throw that lever, it's running generator only. When that power comes back on, it's not doing anything.
And at a time of need, we could get a generator, whether from the fire hall or from the village property.
Do you guys have a generator too?
Several.
Big ones, like big gen sets, 440 power stuff, or?
Now, the 440 is gonna be a permanent mount, it's up there, but it's not connected to anything yet. But the ones in the truck are 220 volt, 4500.
It would run that shelter house, then,
I would
wouldn't it?
think they keep the lights on and the
Yeah,
heating
should.
system.
What type of heat, is that?
Natural gas. It's clean,
Well,
dependable
you-
natural gas.
All they need is the fan to blow.
Right.
Well, yeah. It's not our job.
But I guess I'm just looking out for the citizens.
No, it's,
It's a good point.
Yeah.
I'll do some talking as far as, with the board down here.
I think we need to, can we, send a letter to Edison or something and say, hey,
Yeah, I think that'd be the
next time, let our police department know, let our mayor know, somebody, don't let our people, I don't know, can't go here.
Yeah, we have an area rep representative that Dan and I know quite well,
Yes,
I've known him forever.
Keys, Gary Keys.
Gary
Yeah.
Keys, yeah.
Council's
But,
wasn't
you know,
happy with us.
that big a deal and that many people, I feel they should have contacted somebody.
Yeah, because I ended up getting in trouble there, man. I stopped JR on the way, and I said, is that power coming back on? My mother-in-law's been at my house all night. You can't look at me and say, oh, I didn't mean it that way.
I mean, when you see
She's got it covered.
the city of Toledo do it down there for them people that were out for, you know, 3 days,
Yeah,
they did it.
they did, yeah.
I mean.
There's gotta be a way they
but-
could let us know.
I would think so.
But be cool, for
Let's
hours
do
in the
that.
trailer.
Send them.
You want me to make that happen?
Yeah, let's send them all.
You wanna
Somebody.
contact Gary and
Whoever.
Sue? The other Gary?
Yeah, I got him on speed dial.
Okay.
Beth, did you have something?
Yes, I did. Just only because this affects the office, I wanted to ask everyone. I'm supposed to work on the 26th, it's the Friday after Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I wanted to
Me
take a
too.
vacation, but Peggy's gonna be gone. I was wondering if I could at least take half a vacation day, but it would require, yeah, it would.
Which day is that?
The
26th.
26th, the Friday after Christmas.
Point of
You
time,
mean-
but it's not.
I don't,
Bills.
the
Most
bills are
people don't
due the
even know
30th, the bills are due the 30th, I don't get my bank statement. I mean, I could come in the morning and work half a day, I
If she
would
closed
just,
it the whole day.
You just take the day.
I would take a vacation day, I don't wanna, you already
Is
give
there-
me a holiday.
Is there any hardship for the other work to be done if this physical office is closed?
I'm not following.
Okay.
Other employees were
If-
in?
If this building is closed because Beth is not here and Peggy is not here, you guys can still perform your normal.
Yes, I
daily
mean, we won't
functions.
get called, we won't get the calls in that says, hey, I've got a water leak, I need my water shut off. But they'll call 911 anyways, and so, yeah.
Probably call
They do. I mean, I
So
don't.
you've got plenty to do.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many Saturdays, you know.
It might be snowing hard that day, so, you know, get it physical.
Yeah, just close it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even
If she uses vacation.
just shut the door.
Me, Michael, have it off.
Have, just,
Well, yeah, I'm using vacation. I'm grateful for the holidays I get from the village.
Yeah, we'll have 2 full-time employees working. Wes will be off, because that's,
well, yeah, yeah. lot.
well, his birthday falls on that time, and long story short, he can get a week for 2 days off. So it works out really good for him, so he's done that for the
Okay.
last 5, 6 years.
And then will you be with your
I'll,
mom?
yeah, I'll be.
Okay.
Just maybe put a notice up
Yeah.
at Monday or something, just far
Yeah.
enough in advance that it's
Yeah,
gonna be
no
closed
worries.
25th, 26th.
Oh, we already have the holidays up there, I just add the 26th.
Yeah, just, that's good.
Is the water bills went up for this one?
No, they will go out on the 15th.
So you can type it out now.
Well, they're already printed.
Oh.
Because Peggy's gonna be gone, she's got them up ahead and they're ready to be mailed.
You don't have anything,
I think you really
You could write on each water bill with them.
I'm off, I have a family dinner. Thanks,
I think.
that's it.
I make a motion that we adjourn
Second.
third and fourth.
What's for supper?
I'll take it home.
Come up with a few more boxes.
Scarf and all them. I forgot how good they
I thought they were M&Ms.
are. Oh, what a surprise. You can read them back.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Dollar General.
Stuff we can, I don't know.
Do you have anything else for me?